In 1963, a book was published. It wasn't a bestseller, it didn't win any awards, and most people had never heard of it. But someone had. The Central Intelligence Agency, the most powerful intelligence apparatus in the world, got hold of a copy. And then they made sure no one else could. The book was called The Adam and Eve Story, and for 50 years, it vanished. Until now. To understand the book, you first need to understand the man who wrote it. His name was Chan Thomas, and depending on who you ask, he was either a visionary genius, a dangerous crackpot, or something in between. Born in 1920, Thomas was no ordinary writer. He was an engineer, a former US Air Force employee. He worked at Bell Aircraft and Douglas Aircraft, some of the most cutting-edge aerospace companies of the mid-20th century. He rubbed shoulders with generals. He reportedly earned the trust of General Curtis LeMay, one of the most powerful military commanders in American history. This was not a guy writing science fiction in his basement. This was a man with clearances, a man with connections. So when Chan Thomas sat down and wrote a book claiming he had uncovered the greatest secret in human history, people around him took notice. The book, first published in 1963 and revised in 1965, was officially titled The Adam and Eve Story, The History of Cataclysms, and its central argument was breathtaking in its scope. Thomas claimed he had decoded the truth behind every floodbath, every apocalypse, every civilization that had ever vanished from the face of the earth, and he said it was all about to happen again. Imagine waking up one morning and everything is fine. The birds are singing, the sun is rising, and then within hours, the oceans rise 2 miles high and race across continents at 1,000 miles per hour. Supersonic winds, earthquakes that don't stop. The California mountains, Thomas wrote, would tremble like leaves. The Pacific Ocean would roar up and crash across North America in hours. In a single day, everything you know, every city, every country, every person, was wiped away. Not by a meteor, not by a nuclear war, but by the Earth itself. Here's Thomas's theory. The Earth, he argued, is like a hard-boiled egg, except the shell isn't fixed. It sits on top of a thin, molten layer, and under the right conditions, it can slip. He called it a pole shift, or more precisely, an Earth crust displacement. According to Thomas, the massive ice caps at the poles, Greenland and Antarctica, are dangerously off-center, like a weight spinning on the end of a rope. If the planet's magnetic and electrical balance were disturbed, those ice caps could drag the entire crust sideways, rotating it around the molten layer beneath in a matter of hours. New poles, new equator, new everything. Old civilizations would be ground to dust. And here's where it gets truly haunting. Thomas didn't think this was a theoretical future risk. He thought it had already happened, multiple times, and on schedule. Every 6,500 years, Thomas claimed the Earth resets, like a cosmic clock. Civilization rises, reaches its peak, and then the crust shifts. The oceans move and we start over. A handful of survivors cling to the high ground. They pass down what they remember as legend, as myth, as religion. Using this framework, let's take Noah's flood. Now, this isn't a legend. This is an eyewitness account of the last cataclysm, roughly 6,500 years ago. Adam and Eve, not the first humans. The last survivors of the civilization before that one, 11,500 years ago. Eve, Thomas believed, was Adam's daughter, not his wife. A mistranslation buried in ancient Naga script and Mayan glyphs that hid a much darker truth. A father and daughter fleeing the apocalypse together to repopulate the earth. Every great flood myth, from Gilgamesh to Vishnu, from the Egyptian Book of the Dead to the legends of the Hopi people, Thomas catalogued them all. Hundreds of cultures, completely separated by oceans, all telling the same story. A great water, a great wind, a handful of survivors, and a world reborn. And the physical evidence? Thomas had that too. A mammoth unearthed in Siberia. The Beresova mammoth with undigested flowers still in its mouth, flash frozen so fast it didn't have time to swallow. Fossilized fish stacked in layers as if swept together by massive currents. Tiahuanaco, an ancient city with harbour infrastructure, docks, seaport anchors, sitting 12,500 feet up in the Andes. Thomas asked the obvious question: how does a seaport end up at the top of a mountain? His answer: the cataclysm lifted it there. Now, if this is all just the ravings of a crank, a man making up stories about ancient floods, then why did the CIA care? That's the question that broke the internet. In 1966, just 1 year after Thomas revised and republished his book, the CIA moved to suppress it. Publications were stopped. Copies were collected. The book disappeared from circulation. No explanation was given. No charges were ever filed. No official statement was ever made. The CIA simply made it go away. And there it stayed for decades, until 2013, when a researcher filed a Freedom of Information Act request, and the CIA released a version of the book through their online reading room. But conspiracy theorists immediately noticed something wrong. Of the original 284 pages, only 57 were released. Entire chapters were missing. Pages had been removed. The released version was, as one writer put it, sanitized, scrubbed clean of whatever the CIA didn't want people to read. Think about it. The world's most powerful intelligence agency spent 50 years hiding a book about ancient floods and pole shifts. Either Chan Thomas was a brilliant madman whose theories caused them embarrassment, or he got dangerously close to something real. The internet predictably went wild. TikTok, Reddit, YouTube, podcasts. The story even made its way onto the Joe Rogan Experience. Millions of people reading the same question. What was in those missing 227 pages? Once people started digging, they found more threads to pull. Thomas didn't just write about geology. In his book, he made a claim so audacious, so bizarre, that it deserved its own moment. He claimed that Jesus Christ was not crucified and resurrected in the traditional sense. Instead, Thomas argued that Jesus spent years living and studying amongst tribes, in what is now the Indian state of Nagaland. He was a scholar, a traveler, and after his crucifixion, he was taken away by aliens. Thomas believed that the ancient Naga script, a language system he claimed predated all known written language, was the Rosetta Stone that unlocked the true meaning of Genesis. That the story of Adam and Eve, when properly translated, wasn't about temptation and sin. It was a survival manual. Meanwhile, all other researchers started pointing to things happening right now that Thomas seems to have anticipated. Earth's magnetic North Pole is moving. It's been accelerating for decades, currently drifting at roughly 55 kilometers per year towards Siberia. Now this is documented. This is real. Scientists track it continuously. The Holocene, the warm interglacial period we're living in right now, is roughly 11,700 years old. And interglacial periods, geologically speaking, tend to last between 10,000 and 15,000 years. In other words, by Thomas's cyclical reckoning, we're overdue. And then there's this. Governments around the world have been quietly investing in something called seed vaults, underground bunkers designed to preserve humanity's knowledge and biology against catastrophic collapse. Norway's Svalbard Global Seed Vault, the Cheyenne Mountain Complex, the Channel Tunnel, continuity of government programs. Preparation, government calls it. But preparation for what exactly? Alright, we've taken you deep into the rabbit hole. It's genuinely fascinating, but this is where we have to look at what the scientists say. First, pole reversals. Now, these are real, and they do happen, but geologists tell us the last full magnetic reversal occurred roughly 780,000 years ago, not 6,500 years. And crucially, NASA has confirmed that during a reversal, the magnetic field weakens, but it doesn't disappear. Earth's atmosphere continues to protect us. There is, according to NASA, no evidence that any reversal in the last 2.8 million years caused significant harm to life on Earth. Second, Thomas's signature claim: a rapid 90-degree pole flip causing a global catastrophe. NASA scientists Martin Milinchak addressed this directly, calling the idea totally bogus. In his words, "The amount of energy to bring that about is tremendous, and there's nothing to initiate it. If that happened every 6,500 years, we would certainly see it in all the records." Third, Thomas's evidence. The Berescova mammoth with flowers in its mouth. A real discovery, but mainstream scientists attribute this to localized permafrost, not a global cataclysm. The Tiwanaku evolution. Geologists point to the gradual, well-documented uplift of the Andes over millions of years. And the CIA classification? The most likely explanation, according to the researchers who've examined the document closely, is far less dramatic than it sounds. The CIA appears to have simply acquired one personal copy of the book, possibly as part of an unrelated investigation. When they released their archive in 2013, it came out alongside handwritten notes about a car emergency kit and a shipping label. Not exactly the hallmarks of a suppressed apocalyptic truth. The missing pages, likely redacted for entirely standard classification reasons. Thomas had connections to the military-industrial complex, and those connections involved genuine national security concerns, not because he'd cracked the code of civilization. And Jesus being taken by aliens, well, that's one that we'll leave with you. So here's what's genuinely true. Ancient flood myths exist on every continent. That is a documented fact. The question of why so many separate cultures carry the same memory, that's a real and unsolved historical puzzle. Earth's magnetic north is moving. Interglacial periods do end. Governments and billionaires are building bunkers. Chan Thomas wasn't necessarily right, but he was asking questions that don't have clean answers. Maybe the CIA classified his book because it threatened to cause panic. Maybe they had a mundane copy filed away by accident. Maybe Thomas stumbled onto a fragment of a real pattern buried in the geological record. Or maybe, and this is the possibility that should keep you up at night, the truth is somewhere in those 227 pages that they still haven't released. What do you think? Thank you so much for joining us today, Truth Seekers. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think that Chan Thomas was onto something? Or do you just think that he was a crackpot? Or, again, somewhere in between? Please let me know your thoughts. If you have any videos or any discussions that you would like us to cover, please leave that in the comment as well, and we will definitely check all of those requests. Thank you once again for tuning in. Please make sure to hit that like, share and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one, Truth Seekers.